And here we go. Good afternoon. We are back to another episode of A Voteless People is a Hopeless People. I'm one of your co-hosts, Willie Franklin.
And I'm Matt Canto.
We are brothers of the oldest, the coldest, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Seated here for the Alpha Sigma Lambda chapter here in Dallas, Texas. So what we want to do today is, one, keep it very informal. But two, we want to come from a passionate place to where we are talking about something that's very important, and that's voting. We have Brother Canto here. We're going to go into some questions. We're just going to talk to each other and tell you what's on the ballot, why it's important for you to vote, and most importantly, talk a little bit about Election Day. But before we do that, let's do some introductions. Brother Canto, tell us about yourself.
Well, I am a member of the oldest and the coldest, as Brother Franklin mentioned, fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm not going to get in trouble this time. It's the Alpha Sigma Lambda chapter is the chapter that I'm a member of as well. And so I'm an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. I own multiple businesses, but more importantly than all those things, I'm an active community member that wants to see my people succeed, win, and thrive, and be a part of the community as a whole, and be a part of the conversation. And so voting gets us to that table. And if I can help educate anyone on what to do, how to do it, or how to go about it, I'm all for it. And so that's why I'm here today.
Likewise for me, by day, I'm a city planner for the city of Dallas, kind of serve in the development role as well as special projects. By night, I actually serve as city council for the city of Red Oak. I'm on my first term. I will be up for re-election next year, but we'll get to that later. But as like my brother, I'm very passionate about the community, more so voter awareness, voter registration. I serve as a voting deputy registrar as well for Dallas County and Ellis County. So it's important that we teach our citizens in our community the importance of voting. Hence, that's why we're here. So we're not here to be all uptight, not trying to be all professional. We just want to make sure we stress the importance of voting. Brother Canto, we both have a background in politics. You were very modest. You didn't even mention that you ran for city council. So let's talk to the voters about that.
Yes, I ran for city council in the last election in District 4. And while I didn't win the election, I learned so much about processes, the behind the scenes part of the processes, as well as how these elections are ran, how they affect our day-to-day lives. More importantly, how our ignorance allows certain powers to keep the power and keep us in the blind. One of my favorite scriptures is Hosea 4:6. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. And so therefore, when I didn't win, I made it my personal duty to not just to go off into the sunset, but to reactivate myself and get back into the community and educate as many people as possible about how important their vote is, how they can use their vote for their power, and how they can make sure that their issues are heard and they have their seat at the table, as we mentioned before.
Right. So speaking of a seat at the table, that was kind of my approach. So with my education, I do have a master's in community development, city planning. But for me, every job that I've taken with the goal of being in a position to have that seat at the table. I often find, this is no knock on any candidate, but I often find that some candidates run and we don't have a full understanding of what it takes to run for that particular seat. You're an entrepreneur. You're a developer. We both know development thrives the city. So I notice a lot of times people run for social activism, and that's great. We should be an advocate for our communities.
You're going down that road.
But a lot of times that actually hurt us because we want to be an advocate for our community, but we don't know the city. We don't know the policies. We don't know development. We don't know the business acumen.
Absolutely.
And it leaves you behind when it's time to sit at the table and have these seats at the table. I want to talk first. Let's talk about the importance of voting, right? So me personally, I do register people to vote. And I often hear you ask, hey, are you registered to vote? Some will say yes, some will say no. To those that say no, you say, well, hey, why aren't you registered? Would you like to register? A lot of times you're here, no, I'm good. I don't vote. I don't. Well, that was my experience. Maybe your experience is totally different.
Most definitely.
But I often hear that. So if you was talking to those individuals, what would you do to persuade them to vote?
That's a great question, and I did clear that up. I did hear that a lot as well. Um, it would all depend on the setting where I was at, who I was speaking with, because I do believe you have to get to people on the level where they are, and so it kind of depends on the area or who I was speaking with. But the overall goal would be to say, hey, look, so you don't vote. Okay, why don't you vote? Did you have a bad experience with voting? You have PTSD about voting? And I might hit them with the, well, which is all facts. And so, people who die for the right to vote. And they'd say, well, they died for the right for me not to vote too.
Right. I hear that a lot too.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
That's a valid point. I said, but if you were not going to use your right the way it should be used, do you think that people would cave their lives and shed blood? Sometimes it's as surface level as that, just get people to really step back and say, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Maybe I should get more active and get involved and, use my voice. Sometimes I have to get a little deeper and say, okay, what do you do? They tell me what they do. I said, okay, well, would you like to have this discretionary funds for your business or this grant or something that you wouldn't have to pay back? Would you like that? Yeah, I would love it. Okay, well, if you have the politician that shares your views, you vote for them, you support them, you get them elected, they're able to allocate funds to the areas that you need it. Not just to you, no quid pro quo, but to the areas or to the causes that you believe in, which would adversely and or could positively affect you and your family.
Right.
Usually if you touch people's pocketbooks, usually you can get a reaction out of them. So,
of course. To piggyback off of what you're saying, I typically tell people, your vote is actually your seat at the table. Right.
Well,
so when you are registered to vote, you're an active voter, and your elected official, you need their attention. I always tell, that's your seat at the table. That's your ticket to say, here's what I need. Here's what's important to me. And if you want my vote, if you want my ticket, if you want my support, here's what I need in return. Like a barter system. You need my vote, and here's what I need in return. Now, your needs are totally different from my needs, right? We have common needs, but ultimately your vote, that's your voice. And that's what I typically tell people to persuade them, encourage them rather to vote. And if someone was listening today and you are unregistered, now unfortunately you missed the registration period to vote in this upcoming election, but it's never too late to register for the next election. So if you're listening and you're on the fence about registering to vote, I think I speak for both of us when I say we highly encourage you to vote. We highly encourage you to use your vote as your voice, and not only as your voice, but for your community, for your family, for those who you serve. On your campaign trail, right? So I ran a campaign, you ran a campaign, so we kind of interact with different people on the campaign. We're told yes, we're told no, we're told maybe so. What do you think is the biggest misconception about politicians?
For me, it would be that all politicians are dirty here, cricket, looking for a briefcase full of money. And are there cricket politicians? Absolutely.
Of course.
I think that they're just magnified in their professions. And so when it is a cricket politician, it's just broadcasted everywhere. But there's cricket people in every profession.
Right.
Doctors, lawyers, accountants. And so I wouldn't want to be judged off the worst of my profession as well. And so I would honestly believe, and I know for a fact actually, that majority of politicians are good people, especially in the rural areas. Majority of them are not even paid. I know a lot of people don't know that, but majority of them are working for free.
For free.
Volunteering. And they really have real jobs too. They have day jobs. So the majority of them are working because they truly care about the community. They have a particular issue or need that was very personal or hit home for them. And instead of them complaining or playing Monday morning quarterback, they decided to get active and go be part of the solution and not the problem. And some of those things I just mentioned were really the reasons that motivated me to run as well. It was a lot of Donald Trump, 2016 things going on. And I made a conscious decision to say, you know what? Instead of me complaining, I'm going to actually go down there, throw my name in the hat, to try to be a part of the solution, not the problem.
I'm going to take the opposite approach. So you answered why voters, their misconception. I think with a candidate who's running for office, I think one of the biggest misconceptions for candidates running for office is we tend to assume that from day one, we're going to go in and we're going to change every single thing on day one. We tend to give that information to voters, and now they expect, hey, vote for me. And day one, I'm going to go to City Hall and I'm going to change this. Day one, I'm going to go to Austin and I'm going to shake up everything. And that's a false reality. I'm here to tell you that is a false reality. So for candidates, I think that is a huge misconception for those who are seeking to run for office. And I see it every day. Again, I work in this particular field and I serve in this particular field. And I see it every single day to where newer candidates think, hey, your first day on the floor, you're going to change everything. You're going to make everyone follow the beat to your drum. And that's just not the case for new candidates. I personally, when I took my seat, I spent the first part just learning the ropes, learning who is who, learning what's what. In every different city, there's different politics. There are different shakers. There are different people who have influence. I took that time to learn some of those people, to get to know some of those people. On both sides, I am a registered independent, right? So I feel like, for me personally, I look at both sides. I don't just stick to one side. I hear what you have to say, hear what I have to say, and let me do what's best for my constituents, because ultimately, that's who we serve. So I think for newer candidates, I think that's the biggest misconception, that you assume day one you're going to sit in your seat and everyone is going to listen to you, everyone's going to do what you say, and again, that's not the case. So my advice to those candidates on the ballot, which we'll get to in a second, is to take some time and really learn what it takes to sit in the seat. Take a little time and learn who is who, what is what, as well as the inner politics of sitting on city council, because it's politics within that as well. So if you've never sat in the seat, it's definitely a learning experience for those first couple of sessions. Now, once you kind of get some experience under your belt, once you actually can have those conversations and know what you're talking about, then you kind of get other people's attention. Like, hey, I just can't put anything in front of them. So I'll get off of that because I could talk about that all day.
Man, that's great stuff. I'm learning, and so it's funny. He said a couple of things. He said you're not gonna go in and shake up things day one and make this big impact you thought you were gonna make. It's the truth. You have to look at it. I try to make things tangible. You go to a job, it's your first day. You're gonna walk into the CEO's office and say, you know what, you're doing everything wrong. This is what you need to do. No, you're gonna go into that company. You're gonna learn the structure.
Right.
You're gonna learn how it's set up, the rules, the way the game is played, and then you go in and try to make your difference. So for the people that are like, no, they need to go in if they want my vote and make a difference day one. It's not fair to the politician to expect him to go in there. He's just got elected. You never gave him an opportunity to make a true difference before you're saying we need to re-elect someone else. And it's not logical. It's not feasible. So
it's actually a perfect segue, because I was going to discuss, once you were elected, what the voters can expect. So you went to the polls, you voted, and now your selected candidate holds a seat, right? We have to discuss with our citizens, here's what you can expect next, right? So what would be your advice to someone who, hey, I voted for this person, they got elected, day one? What would be your advice to those who have voted for that particular candidate?
That's a great question. So my first piece of advice would be attend the council meetings.
Bingo.
Because if you're not attending the meetings or you're not a part of the process, these words are going to keep coming back up. Then you don't even really truly know what's going on, know what's being voted on, know what some of the issues that are common around the whole district, know what some of the issues that might be isolated to your area.
Right.
So you won't know until you attend the council meetings and know what's going on, know the layout, know the structure, know how things work, know Robert's Rule of Order, parliamentary procedures, whatever the case may be in your area. You'll know those things by attending the meetings. And after that, you have to give that politician what we call a little bit more sweat equity. And by that, I mean,
right,
if you voted for him, he's going down there, and he's going down there to advocate for you or your area, your issues, then you have to allow him to go down there and work, but also by your voice. And that's continuing to show up at the meetings. Protest if it's needed.
Right.
Continue to show up at every level of aspect of what's going on in your community that affects you. By that shows the people around, shows the politician, shows the other politicians as well that you guys are not going away. You guys are going to be there every step of the way. You're going to be there supporting when it needs to be, also challenging when it needs to be challenged as well. And that's how you actually truly activate and be a part of the actual change in a positive direction.
I want to touch on something because you kind of stole my thunder, but I'm going to let you have it.
Okay.
Attending council meeting, right? That is very important. I want to point out something. You are welcome to attend your council meeting. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to be registered to vote. To be honest with you, you don't even have to live in the city of the council meeting that you're attending. You have a right to attend a council meeting. Now, you have to sign up to speak at the council meeting, but you can attend and listen and take notes. You're more than welcome. These are public buildings. These are public meetings. So if you would like to speak, you do have to sign up. But I do want to encourage the citizens and voters to attend your council meetings. Again, I serve on city council, and you will hear a lot of issues. You'll hear people on social media. You'll see them talking about, my council person doesn't do this, or the city hasn't done this. And you will get to a council meeting, you look out and it's empty. It is 100% empty. Or it's people who are signed up to speak, but they're not speaking on your behalf. So I often tell people, it costs you nothing but a little bit of time to attend a council meeting. So I would definitely encourage everyone to take some time, find out when your council meetings are in your respective city, and definitely attend those meetings. And that's a good opportunity for you to see what your elected official is doing on your behalf. So that was a great point, to definitely attend that council meeting. And you would know exactly where your council members stand on issues because they vote, they speak on those issues, and they also are able to give feedback on what's important to the districts or the people that they represent. So I definitely appreciate you saying that. Let's move on to what's on the ballot, because we have Election Day coming up, Saturday, May 6th, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you are registered to vote, you can vote anywhere in Dallas County. In the city of Dallas, you can walk in and vote. Have your ID. Be sure to have your ID. I always tell people, make sure you take your ID, your voter registration card as well, just to be on the safe side. Typically, you just never know what can come up. So it can be a matter of an addressing issue, a naming issue, system fails. It's all electronic. So I encourage you to take both of those pieces of ID. I encourage you to take water, a snack if you need it, medicine if you take medicine, because you don't know how long the lines may be. And we need you to stay in line so you can vote. As long as you're in line by 7 p.m. on Election Day, you will be able to vote, no matter what. One quick thing I want to discuss before we wrap up is candidates that go unopposed. Now, if you are a sitting council member, I get it. It's a great feeling that you're going unopposed, right? That's I just leave it at that. It's a great feeling. But for the sake of voter representation, yes, for the sake of due process, yes, for the sake of our communities, for me personally, I do want to put out a challenge to those who are qualified to run for office, to those who are interested in to run for office. I encourage you to do so. I'm speaking from personal experience. I didn't seek out to be a council member. I did later in life, but that was never my initial goal to want to run for city council. So I said that to say there's no necessarily a qualification that you look for and say, hey, I ultimately want to be a city councilman or a public official. So do not let that discourage you from running for office. I encourage you, if you have a heart to do it, if you're interested in doing it, it takes a lot of work, a lot of research. You have to do a lot. It's expensive, a lot of time, a lot of sweat equity. But I do encourage more of our people in our communities to get more active. And if you position yourself to run for city council or any elected position, that is a seat at the table. And we do need more qualified individuals who are interested and have a passion for public service to run for office, especially when we see districts that are going unopposed. If you got a comment on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little deeper than that. I think it's really actually a travesty. It's disappointing, and personally, I just think it's not right. And this is why. Not even from someone who ran before. If people are going unopposed, that truly just says, hey, look, I don't have to be held accountable. And not saying that the people that are going unopposed are not being held accountable or that they're not doing a good job. But the whole thing we call democracy works when there's multiple people exchanging ideas,
Right.
going back and forth safely. And then when it's all said and done, whoever gets the most votes, we acknowledge that, we shake their hand, and we vow to help them moving forward to make sure that our democracy moves forward.
Correct.
So with that being said, it's not a good thing that we don't have competitive races. We need to help more people come along, and also that want to run, help them to be able to be in the position to run for all these positions. So that way we truly get the best candidate, because ultimately you're only as good as the person that challenges you, pushes you to be.
Right.
So I think that we need more people, as he said, and we're headed in the right direction. And Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, we're going to do our part in educating everyone to make sure that we can press the right people to run in any type of election.
So let's move on to Election Day. Election Day, I'm not sure when this video will be released, so let's just assume it will be released right before Election Day. So let's discuss Saturday, May 6th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is Election Day. Mm-hmm. All right, again, Saturday, May 6th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is Election Day. If you live in Dallas County and you are registered to vote, you can go to any polling place in Dallas County between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and vote. As long as you are in line by 7 p.m., I'm going to say 6:59. As long as you're in line by 6:59 p.m.,
59 seconds,
you will be allowed to vote. No matter how long the line is, we encourage you, stay in line. Take your own water, take your own snacks, take your medicine, take a lawn chair if you have to. We encourage you to stay in line, and we encourage you to let your voices be heard. Because while we did just name off the candidates for city council, there's a lot more that's on the ballot as well. You may have a school bond election that's on the ballot. You may have several other issues that could be on the ballot. So I encourage you to, if you choose not to vote for a city council member, that's your right. But we do encourage you to vote because there are more options that are on the ballot, and it can be something that affects your future, your children's future, the state of taxes in your city or county. So there's a lot of items that will be on the ballot in your respective city or county. So we do encourage you to stay in line and vote. Again, May 6th, and that is this Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Before we wrap up, we just want to give some general information. No matter what city or county you're in, you can visit your city's website and you can see who is on the ballot, also what is on the ballot. If there's a bond in my respective city of Red Oak, we have a bond that is on the ballot. So I do want to encourage those in Red Oak, even though that's Ellis County, that is the city that I represent as a council member. So I do want to encourage everyone to exercise your right to vote because we have a very important bond issue that's on the ballot. And Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated does not endorse any candidate. We do not encourage you to vote either way for any bond, but I do want to encourage you to vote, to let your voice be heard in all elections. I do want to encourage you as a voter, once you vote and your elected official takes their seat, I highly encourage you to remain active. Follow up with that candidate. Continue to reach out to them with your issues. Continue to support them. Continue to show up to council meetings. I cannot stress that enough. Just continue to hold them accountable, as well as have a little bit of understanding. Again, if it's their first time sitting in that seat, there will be some challenges for them. So have a little bit of grace, but be sure to hold them accountable. They are your elected official, and I personally tell voters, don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't think I may vote for you next election. Do not be
fair.
And I'm an elected official.
Yeah, fair.
If I have not earned your vote, I do not deserve your vote.
No.
And I have if I didn't do what I said I was going to do, If you contact me, I can't respond. I don't return your phone calls. I dodge you. I don't deserve your vote. And that's your right as a voter. That's the power of the vote. So those are great points, well stated points. So definitely, those are great points. So we want to give a special shout out to Kawan Burton Studios. Yes. Look them up on social media. This place is amazing. I was trying to get him to let us do a social mixer here. He was like, nah, we don't do no more events. I learned the hard way. But if you're looking to do any filming, if you are looking to do any photo shoots, he's a one-stop shop. He and his wife, they're tag teaming. They have a beautiful studio. It's state of the art. So we encourage you to patronize this Black-owned business. Now, that's one thing I will say Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated supports, and that is supporting within our communities. So this is a beautiful Black-owned business. He is a photographer, producer, editor, you name it. Looks like he had a whole setup.
He does.
So I do want to acknowledge that and thank him for opening up his doors to us.
Absolutely.
Our producer, my live brother Jordan Benson, definitely kudos to him.
Keeping me out of jail.
I'll be remiss if I did not pay homage to the oldest and the coldest Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the Alpha Sigma Lambda chapter seated here in Dallas, Texas, key number 139. Our current president, Colin Benson, our vice president, Eric Wilson, definitely wanted to acknowledge them.
Absolutely.
Brother Canto, Matthew Canto, we have, this is Ebony Man of the Month. He just won the A. Maceo Smith Award for his involvement in the community as a businessman. So definitely salute to him. And again, on behalf of the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and again, Alpha Sigma Lambda chapter, we thank you for tuning in. We wanted to keep this short. We wanted to keep this simple. We wanted to keep this very laid back because we feel if we can hit you with the quick details, you're more than likely to actually adhere to it. So definitely check the comments. We'll be posting the websites. But for the city of Dallas, you can visit DallasCountyVotes.org, and you can see where you can go vote in your respective areas, the polling locations. But keep in mind, as long as you are registered to vote in Dallas County, you can go anywhere and vote in Dallas County. But please visit that website and look for the nearest polling place for you. And we encourage you to vote this Saturday, May 6th, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Please be in line by 6:59. Please bring your water. Please bring your entire family. And if you're not registered to vote, come see us. We'll have a voter registration in a place and city near you very soon. On behalf of Voters, People is the Hopeless People, thank you, Brother Canto. You got the last words.
I appreciate it. It's hard to follow up with such a distinguished gentleman and brother like Brother Willie Franklin, but I just have about a quick hitter of 4 general information for the public to help them along the way, whether it's this election, future elections, or just being a part of the process of voting as well. And so first I'm going to start out with research the candidates. Please don't believe the water cooler talk or what you hear on social media or see on social media. Research the candidates for yourself. The Dallas Morning News does a good job of providing information or a voter guide on each candidate, and it'll allow you to make the best decision for you. Look at the city secretary website. Like we mentioned before, that'll tell you a whole lot whether the person's qualified to run and or it'll tell you where their money's coming from. Always follow the money. If you like a candidate and you want to support them and you're not able to write a check, there's a lot of other ways. You can support that candidate by word of mouth, block walking, planning, whatever the case may be. There's so many levels to a campaign or a candidate, and we're going to have something coming about that as well. How to build a campaign. Stay tuned. Next episodes coming soon. But there's multiple ways that you can support a candidate besides writing a check. And lastly, always remember, the elected officials work for you. It's not the other way around. And so when you have a candidate that may be getting beside themselves or thinking that, you work for them, always remind them in a nonviolent, positive way that, hey, at the end of the day, you work for me, not the other way around. And I think by those quick hitters, it can help you make the best decision for you and your family, and more importantly, your community as well. It's truly, truly an honor to be able to come before my people and everyone and share some of the knowledge and experiences that I've gained along my path and my journey, whether it's entrepreneurship and or in the political world. And so with that being said, no matter who you vote for, no matter your political affiliation, no matter who you decide to support, we all have a part to play in this thing that we call democracy. And so with that being said, 1906.